Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of Super Rugby Pacific. This one, a battle of two sides inside of the top 8. The Blues in second currently versus the Highlanders, who find themselves in 7th. Now, this game is extremely crucial for the Blues. They are currently sitting in second, like I mentioned. They are behind the Hurricanes, who they did manage to beat last week, but they do have the game in hand. So if they win this contest, they will be back to the top of the bunch at this stage of the competition, which is getting extremely close to those quarterfinals. Looking through at the way that the table sits, the Highlanders, if they win this game, they confirm their spot in the quarterfinals. That is something that would be almost confirmed, I believe, with where the Force and the Crusaders are currently sitting. Of course, either the Force or the Waratahs going to win their contest, though, later on tonight. But it is certainly a close grouping. The top end, we've got 4 sides that are running away with it. We'll have the home quarterfinals, and then the rest, they are all fighting for those same spots. Looking through at the Blues starting lineup, they've got a few changes from last week's game up against the Hurricanes. In the front row, it is Ofa Tuangafasi, Kurt Eklund, and Marcel Renata as the front 3. Lachlan McWennell, who has a very consistent season so far. He is there at 4, and Sam Derry, he is at 5. He had that big injury earlier on in the season. Luckily, he is now back, and he was scoring a lot of tries early on in the season, got himself the 3 in total. Adrian Choate, Dalton Papali'i, and Akira Ioane finds himself at 8, so no Hoskins or Tutu in the starting lineup for this game. Sam Nock, the man who got the crucial turnover for the Blues last week up against the Canes. Harry Plummer keeps his spot as the 10. Corey Evans and Bryce Heem to make up the midfield. Still no Rieko Ioane, Caleb Clark, AJ Lamb, and Cole Forbes will be the back 3. Looking through at the Highlanders starting lineup, this is a side that for the first time in 21 games finally beat a New Zealand side in the Crusaders last week. Ethan de Groot, Henry Bell, and Jermaine Ainsley as the front row. Mitchell Dunshay and Fabian Holland in the locks, and Ollie Haig, Sean Withy, I should say, and Nicola Broughton there as the number 8. Folau Fakatava and Craig Miller as the 19 combo. Miller last week was immense, sliding over all of his kicks, including some in the final moments where it was so crucial that he did get the points. Tahiwi and Talia will be the midfield, with Bogado out on one wing, Tamofi Tavanawai out on the other. That man leading in terms of backs who have got themselves turnovers throughout this season, and then Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkins as the number 15. Looking at the chat, 1 to 4 semi-locked in. Reds can't go above 5th. Says a Nov Mum there, and yeah, that loss up against the Fijian draw certainly hurt them in terms of the overall chances of being able to climb up the ladder. Of course, there are still a few late tails and whatnot. Could be a couple changes in terms of the lead of the overall competition. I just feel like at the moment, the Blues and the Hurricanes will have a bit of a seesaw before they reach the end of the comp. Who's the left winger for the Blues? So in this one, it is Caleb Clark. So they have gone with Clark again. He's actually had a very good season so far, Caleb Clark. I think he's almost played himself into an All Blacks jersey, because you look at some of those other guys who were out on that left wing as really close to getting maybe an All Blacks call-up. Kenny Naholo, he's been pretty quiet over the last few weeks. You've got Reese, who can play either side, so he will certainly be there. Tenai Nana Satoro, he's been in some good form, but at times has dropped off a little bit. I feel like at the moment, if you're looking at consistency, that's probably what Caleb Clark offers you. He hasn't scored a huge amount of tries this season, though, so perhaps in this one, if he can get himself a try or two, that will help cement a chance for the ABs. Is Rieko Ioane playing as centre? He is not, no, due to injury. He is not there in this contest, and I'm sure he will be disappointed about that, Rieko Ioane, but just unfortunately came back from a knock and then got another one. And I'm not talking about Sam Nock, the man who was starting at number 9. They're showing Harry Plummer here, 301 metres gained, 8 defenders beaten. He's playing a 70th Super Rugby match tonight, and this is actually a rematch of the Super Rugby Trans-Tasman final. Let's go over 24.5 first half, says Kingsman. I mean, you did get it right in the last game, the Fijian draw Reds one, so congratulations there. But this one, it's going to be an interesting game, because this will either be extremely low scoring in terms of both sides being able to keep it nice and close, or I believe if either of these sides were to run away with this game, it would be the Blues. Now, that's not to say that it won't be close for a long time in this contest. First try, you know what? We're going to go extremely bold here, and I'm going to say the Highlanders score the first try of the contest. They catch the Blues a little bit off guard, but then If the Blues score first, I think it will be within the first 4 minutes of the game. There we go. We'll just chuck all the predictions out there while we're at it. Do let me know your score predictions for this contest, ladies and gentlemen. While we are at it, of course, we will show you who is coming off the bench in this contest. Some good power coming from both sides. Seven Perofeta back for the Blues. He will be there at 22. Sam Gilbert there for the Highlanders. And Taufa Funaki, also a very handy option. He's found some great form as of late. Ta'aval, and also the brother of Quintupai there at number 17. And Soane Vakina as their 16. So plenty of oomph, I think is the best way of describing it, off the bench for these two sides. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. No Zahn Sullivan, of course, for the Blues. No Rico Ioane, no Hoskins Atutu. Three big names that are missing from this match. No Tui Pelotu. While we are at it, he has actually found some pretty nice form as of late. Let's see how it goes in this contest, ladies and gents. Do let me know who you think will be the first try scorer. I'm going the Highlanders, just for fun. I did predict that they will win this game. Not seriously, though. I just decided I'd go different from my co-host. I think Paul Williams, yep, he is going to be in charge of this one. No Talia too. That is true. No Mark Talia in this contest. Is this a case of underestimating the Highlanders? I mean, we saw it in the game between the Hurricanes and Moana Pacifica. That almost cost them. We have got their Blues will lead at halftime. I don't know why. I feel Landers might steal this at the death. So the Highlanders, they are wearing their maroon kit. The Blues are in the classic light blue. Ta'aval, hang on. Ta'aval's in the starting lineup. What's happened there? He wasn't initially going to be. What's happened? Why is he in the starting lineup? I am confused. I'll be honest, I'm very confused at why Ta'aval's in the starting lineup. I assume late change. Marcel Renato already. Caleb Clark managing to get his hands on the ball. Knock going back and behind to Ofa Tuangafasi. And I want to start this one quick here. The Blues, like I mentioned, if they score first, they're scoring within the first 4 minutes. Just seems like the type of thing that they have done consistently. Blues, the top team this season. Yeah, although at the moment the Hurricanes are sitting at the top of the bunch. Of course, they have the game in hand, though, so that's probably the main factor that impacts it. Now looking to go forward here. The Blues only 10 metres out from the line. Sam Derry cross to Kurt Eklund, who will be the first try scorer. Tuangafasi goes off to McWannell. It's looking good at the moment for the Blues. I think off at Tuangafasi. He tried to tap that one back, and it counts as the knock-on. He'll be annoyed about that one. And could be another one down to the wire. Yeah, there's a good chance because the Highlanders have gone with their strongest side here. I believe at least close to what is their strongest team. Whereas the Blues have made so many changes. Like we mentioned, no Rico Ioane, that is due to injury. No Sullivan due to injury. No Talia. I don't think that's injury-based. And also no no Hoskins Atutu is another player that's out. Is Rico back? He is not, no. 914 kgs in this 4-pack, including his brother, Akira Ioane, and 905 kgs for the Highlanders. Some stage soon, I'm going to have to do my All Blacks prediction, aren't I? And I'm scared to do it because I know I'm going to get a lot wrong. I normally do. Terrible at predictions, as you guys know, but we're slowly getting closer to, I think, would be in the All Blacks for this season. Loose forwards at the moment is the tricky one. That's going to be a free kick in favour of the Blues. Do they want to take this one quickly? Hi, Amish. Blues first try by me. Says Spider Mech. It looks like they are going to go for the scrum. A moment. Okay, we're good now. Apparently I have to have my mouse in a certain place or else the keyboard and the computer starts to lag, it would seem. The Blues know they're in the top 8. Highlanders need a win. Says Patrick in there. How long's Rico out for? I think another 1 week, or maybe he's back next week. He's taken a few head knocks this competition. I believe he's been concussed twice, which is not ideal for Rico Ioane. Is normally what happens is once you get one concussion, you just keep on adding them up. Any sort of head knock that you get within the month of your first knock just seems to do it again. Give you a repeat concussion. Sam Knock Was about to put that ball in. Paul Williams says, actually, we'll have another reset here. Okay, Paul Williams asking for a lot of clarity there, just pretty much saying, look, just hold. It's steady. All of the times that these two sides have played recently have gone in favour of the Blues. The closest game, a 7-point split. That was last year, and then 8 points earlier on in the season when these two sides did play off. Did they play in Dunedin the last time these two sides played? They must have. Or else there'll be 2 home games for the Blues, which I assume is not the case. Big push from the Blues. And they haven't been able to go off the back now. Kiriwani does get tackled well. 3 metres out. Caleb Clark drops and gets very close to the try line. But recycles it back for Hoffa. Tuangafasi. He's got the try, the big man. And that is a great start to the match for the Blues. Hoffa Tuangafasi. Now, I'm a little bit annoyed because I said that they would score within the first 4 minutes. He scored at 4 minutes, 3 seconds, which still means that I'm wrong. But great try for Hoffa Tuangafasi on the short side. It was in Melbourne. Oh, it was a super round, wasn't it? So the Highlanders haven't actually had the home field in this battle between these two sides. What's your opinion on the new rugby laws? Like no scrums from a free kick? It's an interesting one. Like, I want to see it in action before I can fully comment on it, if that makes sense, because you just never quite know what the goal is going to be with it, whether or not it's going to be more effective or whether it is going to slow the game down even more. Like, I believe that the reason they're doing it is so that games don't take 2 hours anymore, that they do get through them in a decent enough kind of speed. I mean, we've already seen in this game, we've had a scrum reset and, like, yeah, probably used up an extra minute. And if they hadn't used up that minute, I would have got my prediction right. And Ofa's having a good season, says John. He is. He's really stepping up off of Tuangafasi, which is great to see. I thank you, Abi. Says Spider-Man just checking in for running to work. Cambridge Blues too strong, says Ruth. See, I couldn't remember the Highlanders being in Dunedin up against the Blues, but now that you've said the super round, that does make sense. Fiji and Droll playing Moana Pacifica also in that round. There's Rieko Ioane drinking a can of Diet Coke. Tell you what, he's absolutely motoring that down. You have to get him a second before half time. But just getting over for Ofa Tuangafasi and great kick, Harry Plummer. Yeah, very nice kick from Plummer. Gets it over. Even though he was by the touchline, probably about 40 metres out. Does go through the posts. And 7-0 now for the Blues. Now, if I had to step up, he was playing bad for a while. Yeah, well, like, that's the thing, though. To be able to, at his age, right, we've got to remember he's probably getting closer to the end of his international stint. And based off his form at international level, a lot of people thought that he was more than close to hanging up the boots. But, like, the fact that he's been playing so well at loose head, but he also offers tight head is just such a versatile option. Same with Tamaiti Williams. You know, you get that combination of you can do them either way on loose head or tight head, and you'll have someone in that position. I don't know whether Nepo Lulala's in that same spot, though, in terms of, like, current form. Marcel Renate, he's been all right. Lomax, I think, has been really good. Who scored it was Ofa Tuangafasi, who managed to score the first try in this match, and that is going to be a penalty now. Okay, Q Eklund is the man. How long is Tamaiti out for? I think he's back by the end of the season if the Crusaders make it far. He might be just after the regular season, though, for Tamaiti Williams. I haven't really heard too much about him, to be honest. That's the thing, though. I feel like Razor probably would like to have him in his All Blacks, but if he hasn't played any minutes, I don't know if he can afford to put him in. If that makes sense, just because it's a bit of a risk. Now, George Bell. In fact, sorry, his brother Henry Bell. They did go head-to-head last week. Now, Sean Worthy. Pop pass up to Tava Nawai. And it's the try now for the Highlanders. Now, they will want to check that last pass just to make sure that it is all right. But that is a sensational bit of counter-attacking from the Highlanders after you've just conceded a try. They've said, nah, we're not having it. We will score our own now. That looks very close to forward from Sean Withy. I mean, the last game we saw 4 passes that weren't called though, so why would they start now? Hamish Tamaiti is a must. He'll have to be in. And good work, Hamish. Trio, thank you very much, mate. Tava, nah, why? Is this one going to be disallowed? Sounds like they're happy. That works. Now Cameron Miller. Like I mentioned last week, he was just slotting them over from absolutely everywhere. Gives a quiz for that pass, Hammy. Says Spider-Mick and Harry should be considered in the All Blacks. I assume you're talking Harry Plummer, and like he's been solid for the Blues this year. I don't know whether or not they would look at him as don't get me wrong. He's a good player, right? But I just worry a little bit that like maybe he's a bit green in some regards for international rugby. And that is harsh, but you know, I just wonder. And they've also got McKenzie and possibly, what a take that is from Caleb Clark. Mofti Tava looking for that turnover, wasn't quite able to get a cleanly nice attack and run from Angus Ta'aval. And should Tava be considered for the All Blacks? I'm not sure whether they will put him in or not. I think he's eligible, but I could be wrong. Is he eligible, ladies and gents? I think he is. Maybe, although he's got Fiji and I think he's got the option of playing for Fiji as well. But I don't know whether or not they will actually play. I think he wants to play for the All Blacks. That was a really long-winded way of saying I think he's probably not too far off. It's Tava the winger. He is, yep. He gets more turnovers than any other player in terms of in that back 3 in Super Rugby. I think he was even on the top list, I believe. It's going to be thrown in by Henry Bell, Ollie Haig. Now Whakatava, 10 minutes into this contest at the moment. Jacob Ratamaita, Buki Nepkins goes short ball to Withy. Crusaders will find it find it hard versus the Blues away. But we'll beat Moana Pacifica at home. Says Patrick, although the Crusaders are at home versus the Blues. They're playing them at Christchurch next week. Now 40 metres out from their line here, Sam Knock. He's been told to use it by Paul Williams. Slightly charged down by Fabian Holland. That's going to be dropped by Timothy Tava, and they'll actually go back for the original penalty in favour of the Blues. And so just could end up on 20-21 points. So yes, there's a chance. That's the thing. This competition at the moment, even with how it sits, every side can still make it through to the quarterfinals. It's heavily reliant on what the Fijian Drua do next week. They are up against the Brumbies, which of course is a must-win, but they're away from home. So that adds a bit more to the challenge side of things. And yep, that one's gone into Dutch. Razor pick on form. I'd like to think he would, but it's very hard to tell. Because it's that situation of there will still be a few of the more experienced players that perhaps he's seen in past seasons playing a lot better. Because you probably can't afford to switch up everyone every year based on form, even though that is what a lot of people would like to see. They like to see players who are playing well in those jerseys, but also that experience that some of them have will get them through. I have to say, if David Havili gets selected, I'd be extremely surprised because that man's been about as out of form as he can be. As a Canes fan, next week game against the Chiefs will be good. I think I've seen on the Chiefs social media that the game is sold out. Beautiful chip in behind. Cole Forbes scores the try. Little grubber there from the Blues with Corey Evans getting the assist. Go the Landers, says Simran there. And you will be glad to know that this is a bad time to say it, seeing as the Blues have just scored, but I actually said that the Highlanders would win this game on the podcast. I think that was just to be different to Tim, who was heavily in favour of the Blues for this game. Got the Blues, says Spider Mech. And be hilarious if the Tars make it, says Annoy. I mean, that's the thing though. They can. It's crazy to think how this competition is going to literally go down to probably the last game to determine who's going to make their way through. We got some big games next week though. Your Razor does pick on form, and that is why I've stepped up my water boy skills. Home for that cool Razor, says Doctor. But Harry Plummerson, and 1 from 1 now will be 2 from 2 with a nice easy kick out in front of the posts. And he's got it over 14 points to 7. Hello, hopefully they can do it. I'm going for the Landers too. What another try. Yep, they're both his teams, but he prefers the Blues more. Or at least that's what he tells you. He's got about 4 teams. He also tells me that the Fiji and Drua are his second team, so you gotta be careful. You know, he's got about 7 second teams, old Tim, but he loves them all, loves his rugby. Now it's going to be kicked off by the Highlanders. And that's not taken cleanly by Daria. Kiriwani knocks it on, and the penalty goes the way of the Highlanders. And that's the thing, like, Kiriwani is probably in his, it sounds terrible to say, he's in his worst form that he's been in almost ever, I would say. And it's a hard one, because you don't want to be out of form, definitely when it gets close to the AB selection. Oh, yay, Pizza Blaze, the best team for sure. Welcome to the Navy side. Hope you are doing well. Says Simran. Yeah, just knocked backwards and then claiming that ball in front of the man who had it, which was Caleb Clark in this case, getting penalised after the knock on from Kiriwani. Line out throw. Nicely taken at the front. Ollie Haig, another advantage going the way of the Highlanders. Due to, that's a bit of a fumble from Cameron Miller. It actually helped set him up to almost find a gap though. Fakatava goes across now to Jake Tahiwi. It seems like it's just going to be a back and forth encounter between these two sides. No advantage for a high tackle going against the Blues. One thing that we will notice in this game is once they give away one penalty, they often give away about 3 or 4 in quick succession. And that is when it gets dangerous for them. Ethan de Groot does well to hang on to that one. They're 10 metres out from the line at the moment. Stay with them, Highlanders. Says John Little chipping behind. Coming from Palau Fakatava. And they'll go back for the penalty. I always have a soft spot for the Landers. Hope they pull it off tonight from a Canes fan. Says Junior Ryder. I think they're going to go for the corner. No, they're going to go for the shot here. In fact, doing best I can. My thumb is in a brace now, sadly. Glad to be here. Or glad to be there. And also got the Blues. Says at Carmen. Just a bit high for him off for Toya Fussy. You feel bad for him as Holland was ducking down. That always makes it a little bit more challenging when you're trying to make a tackle when the guy's at your kneecaps. Six from 8 in the last game for Cam Miller, they've just mentioned. And then last game he was 8 from 8. So he's been pretty handy when it comes to that kick and tee. Can he strike this one all right? Yep, straight down the middle, consistent as they come. And that is now going to make the score 17 minutes in, 14 points to 10. We haven't actually seen Tenuelu Talia with the ball in hand as of yet. You're doing the Ferns game tomorrow, Hamish's Junior Rider. I think it's at 4 p.m. New Zealand time, so I don't think so. I don't think I will end up doing that one. I think I got something else that will be overlapping with it, which isn't just sleep. I think I'll be awake by then, but yeah, out and about for the Sunday. Ooh, that was going to be an ugly one on Mitchell Dunshay's knees. That was the ref, says Spider Mick. It is Paul Williams. Why, what was wrong with the refereeing? I assume you're talking about the high shot, but at the end of the day, he did still get him round the head, so it's a bit unfortunate in that regard. Plus, that was the second penalty, and they already had another penalty advantage charge down there for the Highlanders. Sean Worthy having a chase after it, now making the tackle on Clark, who was 15 metres out from the line. And going to church tomorrow, Miami. I am not. No, Crusaders choked during that final minute of the second half, says Tane. And one more point come on. Although they were a little bit unlucky, the Crusaders, because there was a forward pass that didn't get called, which gained the Brumbies about 50 metres of territory in the end. So I don't know what would have happened if that one had been called as forward and they had a scrum on the halfway line. Could have been different, but that's the beauty of rugby. You just never know. And at the end of the day, the only result that matters is the one at the end of the 80 minutes. Henry Bell going to be throwing this ball in. Nicely taken. Withy goes across there to Henry Bell. Whakatava, another advantage against the Blues. Here's Tamothi Tava Nawai. Tackled low by Dalton Papali'i. And one more point come on, says Kingsman trading cards. Oh, they should do it easy. They'll have it almost by the first 20 minutes. The Kirioani went for the turnover, and they'll go back for the original penalty, which I believe would give the Highlanders only a 1 point difference if they do decide to go for the 3. I am sure Crusaders still have a chance to get into the playoff spot. They actually do, believe it or not. They just need to make sure they win their last 2 games. In fact, one of them is going to be up against the Blues. That refs start to bug me, but why? For which one? Do you think they'll keep the Force Amish, or will they fold the Rebels? I think they're going to be under a lot of pressure because they got 2 tough games coming up. They got the Brumbies next week, and the game after that they've got the Fijian draw in Fiji. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Busy Saturday for the Kiwi lads. I really appreciate your help to listen to the commentary. Said to Abdul Malik, no worries at all. But we've still got 3 more after this one, including the next game. It is going to be at 11:50 p.m. New Zealand time that we are starting that one. That is the Bulls taking on Benetton, the side that were able to beat the Sharks last week in a last-minute thriller. Cam Miller now again will line up this kick. And he's got it over again. So that is going to make the score 14 points to 13. Still in favour of the Blues. Go the Sharks, says Carmen. If the Crusaders win 2 of their last 14 games, they might have their chance, says Tane. And go beat Cardiff, says Carmen. Yeah, that game actually overlaps with Connacht versus Stormers. So I think we're doing Stormers versus Connacht. And then Sharks versus Cardiff. We will be keeping you updated on what is happening in that game as well. And Blues should pull away from the Landers, sad to say. But you never know, says Doctor. Yeah, I did mention at the start, if either of these sides were to win by a large margin, it would be the Blues, I feel. Because they have more of that ability of running away with the game, whereas the Highlanders, normally the games that they win, they keep it close, and then they kind of finish off the job. That's going to be out wide now for the Highlanders. Jakarata Vuki Nepkins hasn't struck that one the best, but he does get it into touch outside of the 22 of the Blues. And go the Landers. Hopefully you have some help. Says Simran, and I'm right-handed, so I should be all right in 14 games. Says Ed, I think he's saying of the 14, maybe. Now, Eklund, that's going to be nicely taken by Lachlan McWan. Oh, that's another charge down on Sam Knox kick. Harry Plummer, driven backwards by Ethan de Groot. Now, going to be able to use it. Sam Knock. That one downfield, and that's gone into touch by by Sam Knock, I should say. We got Sam, we've got Cam, we've got another Sam, and then that's about it. I was looking for more names that were close to rhyming. We've got a Sean. What month does ITM start? I believe it starts in July, August, I think. That's a good kick from Bogado. That might be a 50-22 there for the Highlanders. Oh no, it was inside of the half. They have Moana Pacific and the Blues. I'm pretty sure that is their season. Says Ed Smith. Yep, they've still got the Blues next week at home, and then Moana Pacific at the game after. Next expansion should be 14 teams, keep the top 8. They have 17 rounds, longer rounds. Says a junior rider, although I think it's more just trying to fit it into the same window that they are currently fitting it into. The good news about the URC is it takes part before Christmas as well. So you kind of get multiple games played then. When do we start cutting our team names? Setters, Landers, Canes, what are the Blues, and Chiefs nicknames? Well, they probably don't have to cut them because they're already short enough. Now Pakatava going off to the left-hand side. Nice attack and run. It's like saying Cam Miller rather than Cameron Miller, isn't it? I assume you don't like when people use nicknames either. And another penalty against the Blues. Come on. Says Spider Mech. I'm going forward. Are you watching the game though, Spider Mech, out of curiosity, or are you just assuming that the Blues aren't ill-disciplined? Because they've done some pretty dumb things already throughout this game. And hey, bro, how have you been? I've been alright. I'm just taking it easy due to a bad thumb injury. And another penalty against the Blues. Says Spider Mech. But currently 24 minutes in, and 27 points have already been scored between these two sides. Is this being played in Dunningtown? It is not, no. It is being played in Auckland. The scoreboard, Hemi. So you're basing the refereeing, saying that the refereeing is bad because you see on the scoreboard that the game's close, and that in a normal scenario, I assume you would say that if the refereeing was good, the Blues would be further ahead. Is that the logic there? It's not the best logic, I'll be honest, but that's okay. That's going to be a free kick now to the Blues. It didn't change the scoreboard, though, so you didn't know that it happened, Spider. And we have got there who should replace Cam Roigard for the ABs. I think that, to be honest, I think TJ Perenara is probably going to be in with a decent shot of making it in. Big kick downfield from Jacob Ratamatapuki Nepkins. Doesn't find the touchline. Cole Forbes instead. Now Akiri Ioane. Trying to run forward. My halfbacks, TJ, Falau Fakatava, and Cortez Ratama. Yeah, I think that's the three that a lot of people are looking at. There were a couple other options early on in the season. Like at the moment, Tolfa Funaki's not looking terrible, but he is probably going to play for Tonga. So I think that is where he'll end up rather than for the ABs. Sean Withy rolls away. What's your team, Hamish? Do you have a connection to any of the teams? None at all. To be honest, I'm just straight down the middle. I have a Hurricanes kit. I have a Chiefs kit. But that's because the Chiefs one was sent to me and the Hurricanes actually was sent to me as well. But it's also yellow. So that's fun. Oh, good low tackle made. Getting over the ball. Tavatava Nawai not able to get it. Oh, and almost. It's going to count as a knock-on rather than the charge down from Fabian Holland. How old is TJ Perenara? He's not actually that old, I don't think. About 32, maybe? TJ Perenara. He is 30. Yeah, he's 32. 1992 is when he was born. 30-something. Yeah, 32. So, like, people forget how young he is because he's been around for so long. Like, he's just been there for so many years. For the Hurricanes, he's the leading try scorer in the competition. Finau Papali'i Ari. Hoskins replaced Papali'i, and Savia moves to 7, I assume that is. In his prime. Says David the Mod. And yeah, he's still got a few years underneath his belt, so I'm excited to see whether or not that is the path that Razor goes for, or whether he goes for 3 young players. But Roigard definitely would be there. It's just more of the question of who would go if Roigard came in. Would it be Fakatava? Would it be Perenara? His name wasn't even thrown around about maybe 5 weeks ago. And Hamish, what players do you think shouldn't be in the All Blacks and why? I mean, you could do a big list of players who won't be in there. I think Akiri Ioane's out of form, so he shouldn't be there. I don't think David Havili will be in there, but he could because he's a Crusader. But I wouldn't have him off his current form. I still think that TJ should have been in that World Cup squad instead of Kerr Barlow. It's time for the new breed now. TJ is a good player, but that's yesterday. But you also have to remember they've lost Aaron Smith. And that is a gap that needs to be filled by some sort of experience rather than guys who are pretty much uncapped. I think Whakatava he got like 2 caps. So you'd have 3 guys more than likely that have only got about 5 caps between them. So you kind of need someone in there. And he'll be passing on that knowledge to the younger players as well. Now kicking it towards the touchline for the Highlanders. Currently possession and territory both in favour of the Blues centre Crusaders Dr. Iron Wolf. Who was a bodyweight fitness YouTuber in California who was going to do a tribute workout to the Crusaders. Says Ed Smith. Nice. Now Jake Tahiwi. It's going to be a good tackle on him. Maybe Razor will keep TJ just for that experience. Yeah, I think that's the way that it will go. Well, you have to learn at some stage. You do, but you also want to learn from someone who's been there, done that, and that is TJ Perenara. Like, you don't become the leading try scorer in Super Rugby Pacific without having some sort of knowledge about how to be a halfback. So it's like getting taught by a teacher as opposed to just getting taught by some random bloke who hasn't done it before who says, hey, maybe you should do this. And that would suck if Harville gets the Reuben Thorne treatment, says Doctor. And physical sports put a lot of age on the odometer. He better go with TJ. He's been playing really, really well since he came back. Who would you have at number 8 for the ABs? Satutu or Yorsi? I think that you could probably afford to put both of them in because Braden Yorsi also offers 6. So you got Satutu as a specialist 8 because he doesn't really play anywhere else. And then Yorsi has got that loose forward trio option. But then you've also got Peter Lakai who can play all 3. So that'll be a question mark that they have to try and work out. Now Kurt Eklund throwing it into the front for the Blues line out. And too many points scored as of late. I'll send you the link when he has it ready. There's Ed Smith, sounds good. 22 metres out, another penalty advantage, this time going in favour of the Blues. Now off the back. Knock goes to AJ Lamb. He's shut down early, gets it away to Adrian Choate. Wrestled down by Falau Whakatava. Now Tuanga Fussi. A good shot on him. Tava Nawai gets in. And they'll go back for the penalty again. Now this is where the Blues have to think strategically about it. Do they kick for the corner here? Or do they go for the 3 points? Are they more worried about the win or are they more worried about trying to win comfortably? Because they aren't in first, we've got to remember. They are in second. And it looks like they've made their decision. They are going to kick this one for the corner here. The Blues going aggressive. The Highlanders, they've been taking 3-pointers. They got 6 points so far. Foster never gives Satutu a shot. To be fair, though, Satutu wasn't in the greatest form when Foster didn't give him the crack. He's in great form now, though. So that's probably the time to bring him in. And this is going to sound really strange, and I'm sure some of you will disagree. But I honestly think Satutu not getting selected for the All Blacks has made his game so much stronger. Because, oh, that's close. Rolling Maul going forward again. Eklund can just crawl down, and that is the try for the Blues. The rolling Maul is effective. It's worked out for them. Go on the aggressive route. And my picks for non-All Blacks this year. Finley Christie, Ethan Blackadder, Joe Moody, Caleb Clark, Josh Lordsey. I think Caleb Clark will be in there, to be honest. I think that he's done enough this year to warrant a spot. Josh Lord being injured so much probably will hurt him. And same can be said about Ethan Blackadder. And then the other 3 just aren't in form. A great finish from Kurt Eklund. Didn't see the clear grounding there, but from the other side it must have been. It looked like he might have been slightly short of the line in that replay. As grinding the Southerners down. Sears and Noy currently 2 from 2 for Harry Plummer throughout today. Caleb Clark will be make a great centre. Like inside centre Joe Webby or outside? Probably inside, I would assume. Now Plummer. Currently a 6-point difference between these two teams. Should be a easy enough kick here. How are the debutants going? Have we got any debutants? I don't think we got any debutants in this match that I know of. I'm looking through at the starting lineups and everyone's played at least one game. Maybe off the bench, they've got a couple. Having one bad game, even if it's a playoff, doesn't define your performance. So I still think Satutu should have been in the World Cup squad. He's saying, yeah, although it wasn't just based off that one performance. I think that his discipline last year, he's come a long way this year in terms of that discipline, but last year he was giving away silly penalties and getting cards for things that he just didn't need to, but he was just getting them for the sake of collecting them. But, it's another knock on from Akira Ioane. That man's hands might as well be painted on. Now off to the left-hand side, Jermaine Ainsley. Chance again for the Highlanders. Quinta Pia's brother, he's not on the field yet. He was replacing Ofa Toingafasi later on in the contest. Big run. And it's still available for the Highlanders. Little grubber in mind. That's a poor one from Jacob Rata. Tabuki Nepkins gets it away to Cole Forbes. And now breaks the line. Now, that was close to the Highlanders ball, but I believe AJ Lamb has got back in there. That's for hands. Says Ed. And Kamanakera Butterfingers. I'd say 13 for now. Safa Moore is another one that needs to step up fast if he wants a spot. Well, he's injured at the moment, so he can't. They've got James O'Reilly in there. They've got Tupu Tupu. But Asafa Moore, I think, was going to be in the All Blacks situation for real. Says Tane. As in, like, Akira Ioane dropping it down or the Satutu comment. But one's gone into touch there. Unfortunately, Cole Forbes just getting his pants pulled down. And then Jake Tahiwi was actually the player who pulled them back up for him, which was quite a generous. Akira dropping the ball. Yeah, unfortunately, like, he is really struggling this season, Akira. Like, he's hardly making the reserves at the moment off his current form. Anton Segnum would be a much better option. And I know that sounds harsh, but, at some stage maybe that is the switch that they will have to consider. And Junior, but they do get a bonus for 4 tries. They do not, though. They will get the bonus for 3 or more tries than the opposition. If the losing team scores 4 tries, but they lose by 8, do they get any bonus points? They do not know. None at all. And Red's best of the Aussie teams by far, possibly one of the most improved teams outside. That's a big tackle made by Caleb Clark, trying to wrestle Teniwelu Talia into touch. Pakatava now with the short ball. There goes Broaden with a bit of acceleration. Dunshay tackled by Akira. And well stolen by Dalton, although there's a penalty there. Where's the German anyway? Well, that is Anton Segner. He's missing from this contest. And Reds are okay. But they were lucky against the Rebels last week, though. Says Hanoi. Though sometimes you just need a little bit of luck. I think Super Rugby Pacific's the perfect example of a competition that if you ride out your luck and you take the good with the bad, you can find success. We look at someone like the Western Force that's just been mentioned by Jonathan. Like, they are a side that had a really tough start to the competition. They were playing all the top sides, and now they've got a couple games in a row that they might actually be able to win. And then if they do that, they can actually make the quarterfinals. Western Force in good shape to move close to the 8th spot today with a win over the Waratahs. Although they can't count their chickens before they hatch. As I said just before, you've got to make sure that you're not looking too far ahead. You've got to look at the game in front of you, or else you do get beaten. Who would you consider our best rugby player? I have no idea, to be honest, because there's so many different things that you can judge a player off. Like, yes, you can look at someone who scores all the tries or someone who, like, gets everything right. Like, some of the props, a lot of people don't look at them as the best players on the field, but you look at that scrum for the Crusaders earlier on, the Hurricane scrum dominance, and you look at how they're able to push over opposition. That makes a huge difference. Like they always say, the forwards win you the game, the backs decide by how much. And you need a big forward pack in front of you. That's why the Blues have been so strong in recent years, because they've got a massive forward pack. And then the backs are just the flashy ones who are able to finish the job when need be. To Leah, Clark, they've got the power to run it in as well, which is where that hybrid kind of format works for the Blues. Okay, I can see that most Blues are not there, Hammy. Says Spider-Man, can you see that in the scoreboard or from like the game? Where do you think the Highlanders' strengths and weaknesses are as a team? Says David the Mob. Well, the Highlanders, was that a little bit of a push? I think their backline's a little bit of their weakness. Like, they don't have the notable players that the other teams do, but they've been able to make it work at times, if that makes sense. But normally when the Highlanders lose, they lose badly, which is why their points differential is minus 80. But, there we go. Already, home quarterfinals have been confirmed because the most points that the Reds can get from their next 2 games is 10. Zahn recovering from surgery, hopefully back for the finals. Nah, I don't think he'll be back for the... he was only going to be out for a month, wasn't he? But a month from here, I wouldn't risk it. That's what happened last time. They risked him after just coming back from an injury, which I think they rushed him back into, and then he got injured again for a more serious injury. So, yeah, I don't think they can afford to bring him back early. They have to make sure that he's actually 100% before they chuck him in the deep end. Now, Choke, back across, Plummer on their own 22 at the moment for the Blues. AJ Lamb, nice step attempted. And Tenuelu Talia does make the tackle. What teams have the home quarterfinals? So the Hurricanes, the Blues, the Chiefs, and the Brumbies are all confirmed as home quarterfinalists. And that is due to 3 of those 4 sides already winning their games this round. The only side in that top 4 who have not won their game yet is the Blues. But they're in a decent position to do so. 21 points to 13 at the moment with a minute and a half remaining. Now nicely taken for the Highlanders. They're 40 metres out. Bogado. That was a knock-on from Falau Pakatava. I think they've said it was off the bat. He might be ready for the ABs via the NPC. Maybe. But I also think that at the moment, depending on who Razor looks to overseas, whether or not there's a Bowden Barrett in the works or whether there is a couple other options that they may look at, I think that he may just end up missing out. I think Ruben Love at the moment has got that chance ahead of him, as well as Sean Stevenson, even though Stevenson at times has been a bit 50-50. Now Jake Tahiwi looking for the offload, goes to Bogado, who has knocked that one on. Now Plummer goes back across to Cole Forbes. Putting it in behind. Well taken by Miller at the back. That first 5 for the Highlanders is gutsy player. He is. He's a brilliant kicker as well. Help Hamish. I would consider Geordie Barrett our best player. I could play any position on the field and do it well, says Joe Webby. Yeah, I don't think I was ever going to be able to give you a great answer for who is the best player in New Zealand, because there's a lot of them. 15 seconds left. See, I would almost argue that Peter Lakai has to be up there in terms of current form. There aren't too many. Cortez Ratima, you'd say maybe he's had a bit more. Why do you mostly cover South African teams of the URC? More views, says Slive? No. Fun fact, they don't actually show those other games of the URC in New Zealand. They only show the South African games on TVNZ+. So those are the games that we do get to regularly see. The games outside of that we don't actually get to watch unless I renew my subscription for URC TV or URC Plus or whatever it's called, which is quite expensive on top of the 3 other subscription services I've got for rugby. So that is why we don't cover too many of those other games. Like South African games, they're free to air here in New Zealand, nice and easy, and they are all shown, so that's why we normally do them. Plus, we've got a few South African viewers, so I guess that works in quite nicely as well. That is Tava Nawai looking for the turnover. He's been told no. Which is a professional diplomat. His YouTube channel is his hobby, says Surin. How's the crowd? Is it the same turnout as Blues vs Canes game? Doesn't look like it. It's still a decent enough crowd, though. Of course, this is a Super Rugby Pacific or Super Rugby Trans-Tasman final rematch between the two sides. And last time that they played, it was a pretty high scoring one. Will Ruben be 10 or utility off the bench? I think off the bench for Ruben Love. Now Tuonga Fussy getting to 12 metres out from the line. Knock goes to Dalton Papali'i. Just phase after phase. Here comes Derry. Just down. 5 metres. There's a little knock on. And that'll take them back now. And Canes and Blues are fighting for 1, and Brumbies and Chiefs for 3rd. So here's Bedza. Reds lost the draw, so how's the scoreboard look like now, Amy? Position draw now. So they are currently sitting in 8th, the Fijian draw, but they've got a 6-point gap between them and 9th, the way that it sits. And if Almost Blues says Buttermeek, and when are the RGs coming back to Super Rugby? Is it the year after next? Maybe. I think that 2026 is when they've got Moana Pacific and the Fijian draw locked in until. But I'm not sure what's happening after that. Who would the Hurricanes play in their quarterfinal? It depends on who they, or where they finish in the overall rankings. If they were first, they would play 8th ranked, which will either be the Fijian draw or maybe one of those other sides that are fighting for that 8th spot. Or if they're in second, they'll probably play the Highlanders or maybe the Rebels-ish. Is there a possibility the South African super teams will make a return? I don't think so. I think they're locked in at the moment for the URC for quite a bit longer. So I don't think that's going to change just yet. Maybe way down the line. Are you familiar with the phrase jump in the shark? Don't think so. I know jump in the gun, which is normally like don't like assume before it happens type thing, but I don't know if jump in the shark is the same thing. So either Fiji or whoever's in 7th, says Tane, possibly. But it just depends. I mean, we could see the Blues, I know that this will annoy people, but we could see the Blues lose next week. And then that would mean that the Hurricanes have a better chance of finishing first. We could see both sides lose both of their remaining games and it come down to points differential. There's just so many factors that can still give us differences in that top 8, which I think is why it is so exciting. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting, I would say, how it's going to go. But looking through at the benches, there we go. So that's the wrong game. One moment. There we go. So Swane Vakina, Tupaia, and also Angus Ta'ava was going to be off the bench, but he is actually starting in this game. Then Josh Berry at number 19 with Cameron Suafor as the 20, Taufa Funaki, Stephen Perifeta, and Banks as 23. For the Highlanders, Taylor Johnson and Ma'u front row, Tucker and Stoddard, and then also Ascot, Sam Gilbert and Hurley as the back replacements. But the way that this game sits, 8 points difference. There have been quite a few games that have had an 8 points difference over the last little while. So basically the moment Robertson was announced as AB's coach, Satyrs jumped the shark. Look where they are now. It's a TV phrase with a singular moment caused a cataclysmic downfall of once great organisational product. Well, I disagree about the part about once Robinson got off, because it wasn't just Robinson that caused that downfall. Like the fact that 12 All Blacks left the Crusaders, that's what jumped the shark. So I guess you could say they were getting off a sinking ship in some regards. They knew that the Satyrs weren't going to be what they once were because everyone decided they were going to leave at the same time. And then Penny got the blame, which is, I mean, perfect setup, really, for that man, seeing as he already had some losses under his belt. Blues are rock solid. I want to believe that they will climb to the very top, says Spider Mech. And like that's the thing, they will more than likely, I believe they can finish first on the overall table, but they have to make sure they win this game first. We talked about it just a little bit ago about not counting those chickens before they hatch. You have to make sure that they put the seal on this game first. And even without a seal on this game, if the Highlanders pull off the upset, I still believe that the Blues can finish top of the table. I think it will be close, though, with them and the Hurricanes, seeing as it's going to be such a back and forth and seesaw type arrangement between the two sides, I believe. But yeah, off the bench. To have 12 leaving is insanity. They must have had a shoestring budget. Not necessarily. It's just more of the case of, you know, everyone kind of got those overseas contracts. Whainā Nuku decided he was going overseas. And you got to remember, it was a World Cup year last year. This year's after the World Cup. So everyone's already done their stint in the All Blacks jersey. Most of the players were just looking for that World Cup as their last hurrah or that last opportunity to get into the All Blacks. And then after that, they realised, right, now's the time to go overseas because worst comes to worst, I'll come back, play in New Zealand in 2026 or 2027 and get my contract for the All Blacks that way. Because while you're outside, oh, here we go, catch the Colonels on. This has become one of my favourite parts of the weekend, when we watch a random person try and beat a virtual Colonel. I think that they make it a little bit slower sometimes. But we're about to watch her try and catch the Colonel, although normally they are ahead of the Colonel. Right, here we go. Yeah, nah, she's good. Colonel's not going to get her. She going to win $500 worth of KFC. There you go. Oh, you got that Vern Cotte has changed the attitude and the Blues squad. You can see it in their play. They're covering both sides, says a junior. And also, the Blues just need a decent half-back. And first five, they'll be on their way, says Joe Webby. Decent half-back. I mean, to be fair, Taufa Funaki this year, I think, has stepped up more than he had in past seasons. So that's one bonus that they've got. Because I remember last year, she won for that. Yeah, she did. She got $500 for that, for KFC as well. You know how many popcorn chicken snack boxes that could buy you? Probably like 84 or something like that. We're going to do the maths. I think there's $6.50 now. That's a bit unfortunate. Inflation, innit? How do you spell calculator? There we go. Got it in the end. So she, I believe, 500 divided by 6.5. She can get 76 popcorn chicken snack boxes. That'll keep you going for a while. I also know will not happen for a long time. The Kiwis pretty much had a hand in kicking them out. And right now their time zones match up perfectly with the Northern Hemisphere for kickoff times. They've grown more and more into the URC. And that would only happen if they fell into ruin. And damn, that's heaps of KFC buckets. It is. They had to slow the Colonel down. First time, he was way too fast. I actually saw that on... They did it for the cricket as well when we were at the New Zealand versus Australia test match. They stuck a catch the Colonel on, and old mate just sprinted. Like, pretty much, the first one was really, really slow. And then they were like, oh, how about we upgrade it? You want to race them again? Double or nothing. Well, they actually said, yeah, they did go double or nothing. And then Colonel was gone. Colonel had the afterburners on, and then the guy got nothing, I don't believe. Well, they might have decided to give him something small. Here's promising Hamish, better than Christie. And where's the Blues halfback? What's his name again? So in this one, it is Sam Knock. Unless you're talking about Finley Christie or you're talking about Taufa Funaki as those options. But both sides, we've seen 7 penalties against the Blues. So they're ill-disciplined, starting to catch up with them a little bit here, although I don't think they're too close to getting a penalty and a yellow card against them. We've seen 10 lineouts won by the Highlanders. No lineouts lost, which is the complete opposite of the last game that we covered between the Crusaders and the Brumbies, where every lineout was pretty much intercepted. There's a lifetime supply of chickens. Yeah, if you were going to KFC once a month, you know, and you were getting something very small, you'd get like a good 10 years out of that KFC bucket. I'd like to think you wouldn't have to spend it all at once. That would be rather unfortunate, wouldn't it? On a bit of a light show at Eden Park by the looks of it, but we won't be too far away from the second half, ladies and gents. Do let me know your score predictions for the end of the game, because I think that this one, if the Blues score first in the second half, I don't think the Highlanders will be able to get back into this contest. But, and there is a but, if we do end up seeing it go the other way and the Highlanders are the first side to score in the second half, I think it's going to go down to the wire. Lamani can play next game against the Landers. Koroi Duadua is back, says Jalotho, although I think Lamani can't play next. He has to wait one more week. The Southern Hemisphere obsession with KFC is just wrong. Well, they just advertise everywhere, don't they? We've got the KFC Big Bash, is literally what it's called in Australia for the BBL. You've got KFC sponsoring like New Zealand cricket games. You got them sponsoring Super Rugby. There's just a lot of Kentucky Fried Chicken around these parts. 3420 says a junior rider who should be captain for the ABs. Artie, I think so. I feel like he's the best option that they could go with. So yeah, I would probably say him. But I wouldn't be surprised if Robinson wants to mix it up and go with someone slightly different for the sake of, looking at that new leaf they are trying to turn. It's very, very hard to say, isn't it? People have mentioned Scott Barrett as well as an option. Haven't had KFC in over 10 years. Don't eat foods cooked in oils. Says that Joe Webby. So I assume you boil your chicken then, Joe? Or you wouldn't fry it because that's oil. You might do it in the oven. Do you poach it? Maybe. And a Blues by 10, says a Blues Nate. And also the Landers 27, Blues 50, says Jalotho. I did actually hear a rumour as well. Well, it's not even a rumour. I think it's confirmed at the moment, but it is not good news for the Fijians. Lavani Botia, he is going to be out for 4 months. Use butter. Ooh, that's controversial, Joe. Some people say that's even worse for you. And we need a Southern Footy League. It's pathetic that 6 months is about to pass without even one international match, says Katzenel. But the Northern Hemisphere, they, luckily, in terms of their time zone, they have a little bit of a different one, of course. They have their Six Nations taking place. You have to ask yourself why they target you lot. Oh, they just love the KFC in New Zealand. They'll eat it anywhere that it's available. But it's not, that's the thing though. It's not that great. Controversially, that's probably going to take away a KFC sponsorship. But, it's all right if you get it on a good day. But at other times, it's just plain, it's just chicken, isn't it? I had a piece of chicken from the night and day the other week, and it was actually probably nicer. Some people won't even know what the night and day is, and I can't be bothered explaining it. But, yeah, it's good fun. Howdy, Kiwi lads, welcome in. What is the remaining game for the draw? They have got a game next week up against the Brumbies away from home. So that is going to be at GIO Stadium. And then they've got a home game up against the Rebels, which is their other game that is coming up around the corner. Another ad for Ford Rangers. We get that every time too. When's fast food were cooked in lards, it tastes much better, is Joe Webby. It depends on where you go, because some places do still use different cooking materials, I guess you could say, or cooking ingredients. New Zealand needs red roosters, charcoal, chicken, and chips, says a Blues Note in there as well. Second half must be very close. They're normally about 12 to 13 minutes half time. It's bloody awful, greasy stuff. See, the stuff from the night and day was actually quite all right. It didn't really have a lot of grease. It's probably because it was sitting out for so long, so it was all dry, but it tasted all right. Okay, see, blood type oil. Says one up my kicks. Now, first team back out onto the field is going to be the Blues. Try scorers so far. We saw Ofa Tuangafasi get himself the first try in this matchup for the Blues. Alongside him, we have also seen the tries for Kurt Eklund. And the other try was scored by Cole Forbes. Then for the Highlanders, they have just scored the one try. That was coming in the form of... Who got their try? Tavanawa, I believe it was, in fact. Have you ever wear a draw shirt? I have a Fijian draw polo shirt, but I don't normally wear it much. Popeye's chicken in Auckland. I love crackling. Is it cold? It's probably chilly for Auckland. Currently where I am, you normally add about 5-10 degrees, so they're probably sitting at about 12 degrees, somewhere around there for Auckland at the moment. Also, Chiefs should be annoyed at not keeping Nankerville. That guy is fast becoming a Munster cult hero. Not popular Kiwi, or most popular Kiwi since Doug Howler, says Connor Cahill. Right, Tenuelu Talia has come off the field, and that is Sam Gilbert, who has made his way on. So a big change made there for the Landers. It might have been due to an HIA. He did look a little bit wobbly earlier on, Danilo Delia, but we've hardly seen him throughout this game. At the same time, I was in the queue for nearly 3 hours last week, and they closed the doors to go inside. There's Mr. Haaland. Now, kicking this one off for the Highlanders. There's plenty of height on it, and Kiriwani has been able to hang on to it. I think that's almost the first time today off kickoff that he hasn't dropped the ball straight away. Lachlan McWannell. And 25 metres out. And that's nicely taken there as well. I go through Miller. It's hit very hard. In Chicago, there is a place that made chips and duck fat. They're amazing. Says Gus. And becoming a vinyl record, mate. I need to change the songs, play Lee Oscar in the Rain. And say it is gone now? No, not quite. If they lose their next game, they are, which is up against the Blues, so that's going to be a tricky one. Tell you what, that's a beautiful sell of the dummy from Falau Pakatava, and he's just passed it straight to Dalton Papali, perhaps practicing for when he's in the All Blacks. Now knock back to Harry Plummer, and he will clear the lines with a great kick downfield. Look at all the Chiefs players that went overseas because they were always overlooked as the All Blacks, says Joe Webby. And yeah, they're the smart players at the end of the day. If you're not going to get an All Blacks call-up, you might as well go overseas and make some big money. Peter Gus-Sowakula, he was one that wasn't really used to the full potential by the ABs. You got Alex Nankerville as well, always overlooked. That's a great take from Timothy Tavatavanawa. And again, Cole Forbes, for the second time in this contest, has ended up landing awkwardly after going up for a kick. Gilbert on a cross into the midfield for Fabian Holland. Now Pakatava. They've got the two playmakers in their backline at the moment with Miller and Gilbert. That one's going to be grubbing in behind. Well claimed by Corey Evans. It was getting close to a 50-22 if the ball kept curling the way that it was. One loss, says Katzenau, and don't worry about the Satyrs. They play for pride. And now a great run from Sam Nock. Beautiful acceleration. I reckon Moong will come back for the ABs this year. It sounds like he's going to. So it will be interesting to see how that ends up going. Nice attack and run from Kurt Eklund. Just knocks it on in the process. And it will now be the scrum feed. Sharks 18, Roosters 12. Says Carmen. Don't worry about the Satyrs. They play for pride. Says Spider Mech. Is that why they're 2 from 12? Yeah, Dalton Papali was there ready to catch the interception pass. And Vakina, Tupaia, and Sheck, they will be the front row replacements. Now, PJ Sheck, I believe, was actually at the Hurricanes last year. The Blues signed him for this season. This doesn't look good for Cam Miller. Looks like his nose has been almost knocked off his face. You got the Voldemort DLC update, unfortunately. Hopefully that will not go too badly for Cam Miller, although he is bleeding profusely. I think it was a late shot as well. But you have to wonder, if he's got a bleeding nose, someone's hit him in the nose. So have they checked that on the TMO to see where the contact came from? And we have got their worse. Satyrs play the Blues next. I wish them good luck, says Spider Mech. Looks like the change is made, and it's going to be the youngster, the young 23, Finn Hurley now, who is onto the field. Still 43 minutes down in this game, so 37 to go. Bad contact between the front rows, not consistent, isn't it? They should be checking. Says Joe Webby. And we're Satyrs play the Blues next. I wish them good luck, says Spider Mech. Just outside of the 22 for the Highlanders. And thing is, Foster coached the Chiefs. I would think he would do the opposite of not picking many. Says Spinks, but then it was probably because he didn't want to get called bias. So probably didn't select some of them because he was like, oh, I don't want to have too many of just the one side in there. Carried back by Fakatava. Just. Okay, like they're saying, if it had gone out on the full, would have been out. But Fakatava, 8 try assists so far throughout this season. With Miller going off, it sounds like they have just said that Tava Nawai has tried to fill that gap here. Kiriwani going back across to the left-hand side. Little pop pass up. Wide pass from Harry Plummer. Here comes Caleb Clark. Got some great pace, but a great low tackle made by Finn Hurley. I follow the Chiefs. Foster was useless when he coached them. Says Joe Webby. Now back across. Knock goes to Ta'aval. Round the side. Knock tried the snipe that we saw from Palau Pakatava not too long ago. Okay, there's going to be an advantage against 6 for the Highlanders. Great hands from the Blues, and in the corner, it's going to be Cade Banks. He's actually in the starting lineup. I believe the player who's missing from the starting side is actually Bryce Heem. Cade Banks was going to be coming off the bench in this game with AJ Lamb. AJ Lamb, I believe, is in that midfield, playing 13 for this contest, but the youngster gets his first try of the contest. I checked the score, and the Phoenix are down 0-1. Oh, they're playing in is it the playoff game that they're in? One moment. I'll have a quick look. The aggregate is currently 1-0 for them. They played on the 12th and they were 0-0, so that would mean that they go home, yes, I believe, if they lost that. And try double Blues. Now Harry Plummer. And 3 from 3, so tell me, Hamish, what do you think of the law changes that's going to happen on the 1st of July? I think that we have to see them in action before we can really judge them. Because it's all well and good saying whether we like them or dislike them now, but until we see them actually in play, like, it's very hard to judge. On paper, are they going to help? Maybe. Will they also make things worse? Maybe. But I need to see it in some games first. And Plummer has got that one over as well. Now makes the score 28 points to 13 in favour of the Blues. Just really nicely. Set ball on the outside. 47 minutes in. Still time, but the Blues are in a position of a bonus point at the moment. Nicely taken by Sam Derry. They look to just counter straight away with a rolling maul here, the Blues. And boy, is that moving quickly. They've probably made about 30 metres off this one as Caleb Clark sleeping. Says gets now. He touched the ball just before. In fact, he was involved in the build-up play that got that try for the Blues. And here comes Caleb Clark again. Another flat run. Breaks through for Lau Fakatava's tackle, but is dragged down in the second effort. Now, that's going to be the penalty going the way of the Blues again. I think they'll go for the corner here again, Ethan de Groot, the man who's been penalised for that one. Yeah, I think they're kicking for the corner again here, the Blues. And that just shows that they're too confident in terms of the way that they have scored already. The Highlanders defence isn't living up to that expectation. Good ref, says it's Spider-Mix. So I assume that's because he gave the penalty to the Blues, that he's become a good ref, as opposed to when you bashed him in the first half because he gave a penalty to the Highlanders. I'm just clarifying. I said you were 70% okay last weekend. It looks like 100% this weekend. I'll say it's like 90, maybe 85. I'm still not completely cleared up, but By the sounds of it, it's probably going to hang around for like a month, so that's nice. Hurricanes versus Blues final, you heard it here first. There's Falangi. Could be a possibility. And if that's the case, the question mark is who's going to have the home final. Is it going to be at Eden Park or is it going to be at Sky Stadium? Because they both are right up there in terms of the overall table. This one would thoroughly help the Blues, but that would give them the lead back on the overall standings. I think Stoddard's got in there and has managed to get the turnover for the Highlanders. Rush defence there from the Blues. Doesn't work out and they have got open space now to be able to play with. Drag down there, Bogado. Couldn't get that next pass away. Offload coming from Worthy and Taylor's hit a little bit high. There from Ofatoanga again. And not looking the best for us right now. Hopefully Landers get their act together. Get some points back. What kind of illness is this? Says Mono Lagrange. It's just it's just a flu, isn't it? Just hangs around. But I think because I already got sick a couple of weeks beforehand, then got slightly better and then got sick again, that's why it's hanging around for a bit longer. Zella needs a football team in the AFL. Says Katzenell. I focus on the next week first. Let's see how good you are against my Chiefs. Says Mana. And the Highlanders are getting untidy. And yeah, that was a great attacking option for them from the counter-attack. Landers in the 8th. They are 7th at the moment on the rankings. Of course, the gap between them and 8th will close a little bit more if they aren't able to get themselves the victory here. Currently, the gap between the Fiji and Drua, who are in 8th, and the team in 9th, are sitting at 6 points difference. So that's relatively handy for them. Now Sam Knock going off to the right-hand side. Sam Derry trying to crawl forward. Got an elbow in the face from AJ Lamb for his troubles. Now Knock again. Back across to Corey Evans. Almost through. Papalier with the pick and go. Blues up to 10 phases now. Tuangafasi, the next man to hit the ball up. That is going to be, I believe, in the hands of Papalier. The ball was a bit loose. Got kicked around a bit. 9 has been told to use it, so strategically Sam Knox steps back and gives it to Caleb Clark. Because he is not number 9, he's number 11. Tuangafasi, 25 out. Knock now, flat ball to AJ Lamb, who was then flattened by Ollie Haig, who scored, says Dane. So they have had Cade Banks, they've had Cole Forbes, they've had Offa Tuangafasi, and they've had also Kurt Eklund. Wide cut out pass. Here comes Cade Banks. It looked like he almost did his ankle just running towards the Highlanders opposition there. Ball's still there for Knock. Are you going to get another cap? Probably not. No, I don't think we will end up getting another one. Maybe later on, but not currently. That's going to be kicked him behind nicely. Ball sits up for Hurley. Go back for another penalty, this time in favour of the Highlanders. Drive it. There's Mr. All-In. Yeah, they're 15 points down. They do need to go for the corner here, or maybe a scrum could be the other option that they look at. And Mana Black, easy dub for the black and yellows. Says Falangi there. Okay, Paul Williams pretty much just saying tidy up down this end of the field. We're starting to see a few too many numbers of penalties going against the Blues. No, sorry, the Highlanders, I should say. The penalty actually went in favour of the Blues there. So they will once again kick this one for the corner. Just show up Finley Christie and Bryce Heem, as well as Marcel Renata, all watching on for this game. So tell Hamish what happened in earlier streams that you cover. What was the scores in those matches? So here's Mono Lagrange. Well, the Fiji and Draw won their game up against the Reds. And they also were able to extend their lead to 28 points to 19 in the end. We saw the Brumbies play the Crusaders. Brumbies won that one. That's a try for Kurt Eklund. 31 points to 24, though, in that game, which seems like could be a little bit similar to what we see here, if not a bit more, for the Blues now. And then we got this game currently. How's Sullivan playing? He's not, because he's injured. They decided to rush him back from an injury, and then he re-injured his injury that he already had, and then now is out for about a month and a bit. A great break off the back for Kurt Eklund. The rolling ball looking extremely effective for the Blues at the moment. And just gets it over the line for Kurt Eklund. Yeah, just managed to get around for Lau Whakatava. Oh, says King. So yeah, he's not playing in this game. There's hope that he might be back by the later stages of the comp, like as in the semi-finals or the final, but I don't think it would be a good idea to rush him back in. Definitely not if that injury is going to be possibly fired up again. 26 minutes remaining now. Harry Plummer to line up this kick. This game almost is done and dusted, I would say. The Blues having the lead that they have. It's going to be pretty tough for them to lose it from here, although Harry Plummer has missed his first kick of the day. The rest of the four have gone over, but 33 points to 13 now. 3 converted tries for the Highlanders would give them a lead in this contest. That's a wee while away. They have to start finding some territory. First of all, the Blues are playing a majority of the second half inside of the Highlanders. 50 metres. Right, Aiden Johnston has now made his way onto the field, and his 50th. Oh, Ioane almost ends up going into touch. When the pressure's on you, that is often when you make the biggest mistakes if you're out of form. He just kept it in now deep. Side of the ring goal area, Harry Plummer. Sit downfield. Do they want to take it quickly? No, the Highlanders say we will wait and see a Blues backline just too good for any team, says Spider Mick. I mean, they've made quite a few changes in this game, though. They haven't got, no Tolfa Funaki as halfback. They haven't got Rico Ioane in the midfield. They haven't got Mark Talia out on the wing. No Zahn Sullivan at fullback. So you're saying the Blues backline in this game or just in general without the injuries that they're missing? Now off the back, chance for Stoddard. Highlanders 15 metres out is drawing the top 8, or are they not? They are currently in 8th. So yes, they are, and they will remain in the top 8 at the end of this round. Just the one game to go, with it being the Waratahs versus the Western Force. Defence boys, says Mr. Orlin. Getting to 10 metres out. Looking for the turnover. Ascot, huge amount of pressure on him, but they managed to shift it out wide. Missed tackle from Cade Banks. Jacob Ratamatabuki Nepkins is tackled in the second effort, and they'll go back now for the penalty. Archie's backline is the best, says King. Once again. Okay, they're just talking about Cam Miller. He will not be able to continue in this game due to failing the HIA. But once again, you have to wonder where was the contact. If he got hit in the nose, we're going to see it here. Interesting. Straight into the shoulder of Ofatonga Fasi. Nothing looked at. It's going to be sacked by the Blues. They're lying all over it. They are allowed to. Paul Williams looking for it here. And it's popped out on the side of the Blues. Someone's done some pretty good work underneath that breakdown to push it out their way. I think they're saying it might have been Caleb Clark. Are those missing carry injuries or resting? A bit of both. So Sullivan is out with the injury. Rico's out with his head knock. Funaki's off the bench in this game. And also there was another one. Oh, Talia's just rested, I believe. Now another line out here for the Highlanders. And that one's going to be claimed by the Landers. Scott going back across in behind. Wide cut out pass. Thought about the offload from Ratamaitavuki Nepkins. And it's going to be another penalty against the Blues. At the moment, every time that we get about 3 passes from either side as well. Both sides are guilty of this. Anytime we get like 3 passes, then someone gives away a penalty. And like they've just said, the Blues' discipline has to be so key. Blue backs were offside this time. If the log stands like this, at the end of the group stages, Hurricanes will probably play the Drua in the quarters. That is true. But the question is, will the Drua still be 8th at that point? Big call and gutsy from the Landers, says Mr. All-In. Entries to the opposition, 22. The Highlanders have had 6. The Blues have had 9 in this matchup. Like they're saying, 3/4 of the way through this contest. At the moment, the crowd are absolutely loving it. What about Tuipulotu? Is he rested too? He is indeed. Same with Hoskins at 2-2. Right, about to be fed in by the Highlanders at scrum time. Tava Nawai waiting patiently. He's had 1 try already in this matchup. Has he got another one just around the corner? Nope, because there's a free kick in favour of the Blues. Okay, so I think it was Jack Taylor. He was saying, I didn't go early though, and referee pretty much said, I know, it was your teammate, Aiden Johnson. Are they underrated, the Landers? I think that for a side that lost 21 games in a row up against New Zealand opposition, yes. Because of those 21 losses, they've had a lot of close games, the Highlanders. So, have they been unlucky at times? Absolutely. That one's going to be thrown in, nicely claimed by the Highlanders again on the halfway line. Sam Gilbert, wide cut out pass. At the moment, it just seems to be the same set play over and over again. There hasn't been much variety in the way that the Highlanders have been attacking. That's got to be offside for Ofa Tuangafasi. There's no way a big man should have been that fast to get up there, but it's going to be a knock-on from the Highlanders. And again, it's going to be a scrum. That's how many weeks to go before the group stages end. So 2 more weeks. Next week, we get to see a couple more New Zealand derbies. And then the last week, I think we've also got a few more New Zealand derbies. The Chiefs, they will be playing the Blues in the final round. And they'll be playing the Hurricanes in the next round of the competition, round 14. In terms of the Blues, they've got the Crusaders and the Chiefs. In terms of the Highlanders, they've got the Fiji and Droi and then the Hurricanes. 1-1 now. Oh, so they might have to go to extra time in that Wellington-Phoenix game. So Mitchell Dunshea and Akira Ioane, 2 other players who have made their way off. Cameron Soafua. First game at home. Cameron Soafua after returning to the side. He's going to take it off the back now. Sells the dummy. Gets tackled just 40 metres out now. Great step from Lachlan McWannell. Okay, 14 reds offside. That being Tavanawai penalty shootout. Is the Phoenix in a knockout game? I believe so. It should be a cracker. Chiefs versus Hurricanes. Go the Chiefs. Says King. I wonder if my sister and her husband at the Wellington Phoenix game. Says Novum. Now back across here again. Blues just phase after phase. That looked like someone was taken way out past the ball by Cade Banks. And go to Blue, says Christopher. Now Ofa Tuangafasi wrestled down hard. Tavanawai looking for that turnover, but player did not roll away first. Still under penalty advantage here. Angus Ta'aval. Almost through. Doesn't work out for him though. Now pass back. Caleb Clark sells the dummy. He goes through. Ball on the inside to Taufa Funaki. And he scores the try. The assist to Clark. Funaki gets another. As you're telling me the quarterfinal start in 3 weeks' time. That is correct. Yes. So not too far away from the quarters. Put that Clark in centre, man up the mighty Blues. Says Mr. All-In. Taufa Funaki scores the try. Clark gets himself the assist. And then just found Funaki, who still had quite a bit of work to do, but he's managed to do it in emphatic fashion, finishing it off and scoring the try. Good day, Hamish. Says Quintus there. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing very well. Yeah, Funaki slamming it down, and he was excited about it as well. And the Blues now are sitting on 38 points. Clark at second 5. Says one up my kicks. And Mr. All-In. He's really showing skills of a centre. Says Joe Webby, 4 from 5 at the moment for Harry Plummer. He's been showing his kicking skills off throughout this game. I should mention the next game, ladies and gentlemen, that we will be covering on the channel is going to be starting in about 3.5 hours' time. And that is a contest between the Bulls and Benetton. We've got 3 games back to back to back of the URC that we are going to be covering. So be sure to keep an eye out for those ones. Now lining up this kick. And he's got it over again. And Auckland Blues finally clicked. A little too late. Says Quintus. I doubt it. Like, there's still 2 rounds to go and they'll be top of the table at the end of this game. So I feel like that's the perfect time to be clicking right at the end of a half. Right, Mason Tupaia is going to make his way onto the field now for the Blues. Well controlled, James Arscott on the halfway line. Should mention Sawane Vakina, the other change that they have made, that is for Kurt Eklund. Mr. Holland's what Rico and Clark would be great to watch. Rebels are safe for another week, thanks Blues. Says Hanoi. Just showing him Mason Tupaia on debut. I throw in a little, says Quintus. I mean, you'll be able to throw it in if they get knocked down in the quarters. I feel like that will be the perfect time to do so, although that might fire up quite a few people, I should mention. They might get quite angry at you, Quintus, but that may be what you want. 65 minutes through. First scrum for Mason Tupaia at Super Rugby level. Like I said, he's come from the Chiefs developmental side. Going up against Saul and Ma'u, so not exactly an easy guy. Go face-to-face with in a scrum. And the Highlanders, massive push there. And the penalty goes the way of the Landers. Like I just said, a bit of a rough one to come in and face. Will the Blues crack 50? I think that they'll be close. I mean, they're on 40 at the moment, so 2 more tries coming. Sam Gilbert kicks that one into touch. I want to see that play out. I think the highlight for me will be, or was Clark finally passing on that break. Says Mr. All-In. They're saying a massive 8-man shove in this one rather than just one man doing all the work. That's going to be well controlled at the back for the Blues here. Got it against the throw. Kicked into touch by Harry Plummer, about 30 metres out, so not quite the distance that he was after. Oh. Okay, they've actually just said about how Stephen Perafeta was going to be coming back in, but he's got a bit of tenderness to his injury. So they've decided to not have it all. Drop ball for Cole Forbes. And how bad the Crusaders game end? Says Quintus, it was a rough ending. Like, there was still twists and turns that almost happened in that contest, but at the same time, there was also, you know, there were a couple interesting calls, I would say, but yeah, it was a close one. It was under the post in his mind, says Hanoi, and yeah, like they said, it was almost in slow motion for Cole Forbes there. He thought he was already through. He's frustrated about it. 12 minutes remaining. I've seen no one is going to stop Munster in this year's URC. They beat Edinburgh last night 29-26. Yeah, although that's the thing. Like, Edinburgh have been a bit up and down, hot and cold throughout this season. We're heading towards 50, Emmy. They're 10 points away with 12 minutes to play with. So I think the Highlanders will reach 20. I think the Blues will reach 45. But I'm not sure about how much more after that. That's stolen. There's Caleb Clark. Interception try. And that'll bring them to that 45. And great try for the Blues. Like I've said, deserves one, Caleb Clark, for how he's done in the Champions Cup and Challenge Cup. Or is the Champions Cup and Challenge Cup on this weekend? They are not next weekend, is when we are going to get to see them. So, Challenge Cup, Saturday morning New Zealand time, Sharks versus Gloucester. And then the final of the Champions Cup on Sunday. That will be the one taking place between the Leinster and Toulouse. Yeah, Sterling, that one. Like I mentioned, the Highlanders at the moment are just the same set play over and over and over again, and it's taking the Blues a little bit of time, but they've worked it out now. Clark playing like he has a contract negotiations coming up, says Annoy. And man, the Blues are definitely going to beat the Crusaders in Christchurch next week, says Marta Black. And it should be GG up the Blues, says Lord Forth. And there as well. Oh, going to get a Carlos Spencer. The 8th all-time scorer for the Blues. Plummer gets it over. 47 points to 13 now. Once again, when you go with that same play over and over and you don't get enough go forward from your forward pack, the opposition start to work you out a little bit. Did Google Durban Curry Bunny Chow yet, Amish? I have not, no. I'll be honest, after that live stream, I slightly forgot about it. So tell me, Amish, what happened in the Crusaders match? Something controversial happened a little bit, but nothing too out of the ordinary for a match involving a New Zealand and Australian side. Leinster must win or Irish rugby will mentally collapse, says Hanoi. Well, that's the thing. Like, Leinster are always the side that everyone looks at because they are always so close to the top of the table. And then a side like Munster come in and win the competition like they did last year, and that kind of throws a bit of a spanner in the works. Like, they definitely need to beat Toulouse, though, Leinster. That was too high from Lachlan McWano. I think he hit his face on the other player's face. We're going to have any sort of warning, any sort of penalty there. Yep, McWano's not looking too flash. Ronnie should stay here in New Zealand. Our little grubber in behind. Clark has managed to claim it. Okay, this is a blowout. I say it as if they lose next week. Are they gone? They are, yep. That should be the end of the Crusaders. Unless there's still actually a chance. It sounds crazy to say, but there's actually still a chance if they get themselves either 1 or 2 losing bonus points, that they can still make the top 8, depending on the result of the Fijian draw game. Now it's there for them again. Funaki. Across. 9 minutes remaining. Yeah, I'm more curious to know what happened in that McWannell and Sam Gilbert challenge. It looked like someone ran straight into the other player's head with their head, but nothing was really ruled in it, which was interesting. Now again, still available for Dalton Papali'i. Seems like every single team in Super has the same attack patterns, says Hanoi. Oh, that was close to a knock-on. In fact, it was. And Super Rugby can't continue to have these long foregone conclusions. In what regard, Mark? Like, as in like the score of this game, I assume you're talking about? Maybe? I'm confused. Or like the competition in general, because the fact that we still don't know who the top 8 are would... saw a premiership game at a 19-0 game that damaged the reputation of the comp, says Mark Somerville. I mean, if you look at any competition around the world, you're going to see games like that. Like, that just happens. When you get a mismatch in sides, it just ends up going that way. If we look at the URC, for instance, seeing as we haven't mentioned that competition, we are covering that competition later on tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But, like, last week there was a 61 points to 14 game in the URC, which is more one-sided than this one, fun fact. So I'm not sure what your argument is in that case, Mark. And Crusaders are at the bottom. What do you mean, Mark? Says Annoy. Yeah, I feel like if anything, this has been the unpredictable year of Super Rugby Pacific. to a certain extent. Yeah, looks like McWannell. Okay, Sam Derrick tried to charge it down. And that one's gone into touch. Also in that same week, we saw 47-12 as one of the results as well, I should mention. So a couple one-sided affairs in that one. Right, Lachlan McWannell has already failed his HIA. Didn't take long. They obviously asked him what his name is, and he said, what name? So then they decided, right, you're not playing again. That's a forward pass from Dalton Papali'i. Finally, the Zebras get a win over the mighty Zebre. Have you played rugby? When I was a lot younger, like, not recently. It's been a little while. But yeah, just getting it knocked out of his hands there, Papali'i, as he was going for his offload. A big smile on his face. So he was absolutely loving it. Dalton Papali'i being out there on the field. Well, we will go like that. And like that. There we go. Currently 6.5 minutes remaining. It's gone in now. And Ascot, nope, the penalty's going to go the way of the Highlanders again for a knee going down. Uh-oh. I think that was against Mason Tupai again there. Or may have been on the other side, might have got lucky. 11 penalties against the Blues at this point. Now line out throw here for Jack Taylor. To the left, Ascot. Tava Nawai, good fin coming in there. And Matanoni said the URC, the French top 14 and the English Premiership are all better competitions in the Super Rugby Pacifica. What are your views? Says Monet Lagrange. I mean, it depends on what type of rugby you enjoy watching. It depends on, I guess, which players you enjoy watching as well. Matanonu, he's probably played in most of those comps, I believe. Or, to be fair, he hasn't played in the URC, has he, Matanonu? He's currently playing in the MLR. I enjoy Super Rugby more than the URC, but the comp, I could do a lot to improve. Says Mark Somerville. Yeah, it's all learning, isn't it, at the end of the day? Like, there are going to be certain games that are one-sided, but when you look at some of the other games that we've seen this weekend, we saw the Hurricanes win their game by 8. I think the Chiefs won their game by only about 3. The Draw won their game by 9. The Crusaders Brumbies won their game by 7 up against the Crusaders. This is the only game that has been split by more than 10 points, I believe. So, you know, you're going to get some good games. You're going to get some one-sided games. Our Pacific comp is trash now, says James. Will Morgan come back for the All Blacks this year? Forgot what you said. I believe he can. I think he's got plans to. Any thoughts now Sam Cane is gone? The Artie could be 7 if he's available for the ABs. It's an option. I think Peter Lakai also could be a very bright future player for the ABs as well in that 7 jersey. He's played a bit for the New Zealand under-20s. Now looking to roll this one forward. Oh well, good on the Blues, night. And, oh, you've got thanks, lads, from Moa Hunters. Right, Sam Gilbert. Can the Highlanders score themselves one more try here? Jakarata Maitavuki Nepkins, great low tackle made by Dalton Papali'i. Tava Nawai. Short ball again. Another good low tackle made by Dalton Papali'i. He's having a bit of a run of them at the moment. And behind Gilbert, here comes the wide cutout pass. Oh no, they've tried a grubber this time for the Highlanders. And nice pass, one more to Withy. I think he was told to go to the corner by Bulgaro. He didn't have the pace to, though. Big Six Champion Cup is the highest competition in the world. It's very close to Test Rugby, says Monet Lagrange. And any idea why Sam Gilbert was in the reserve seems odd. It's a strange one. We were actually talking about it on a podcast earlier on in the week. It seems weird that he went from their best centre that they had to then not willing to give him the start. All the comps are different, and thankfully so. How bad would it be if they were all the same? Exactly right. Like, there are clear differences in the way that different sides play around the world, and that's what makes rugby unique, is when we get to international rugby and you get to test match rugby or you get to the Champions Cup, you get to see how those different styles match up with other sides around the world. You know, when you look at the French top 14 compared to Super Rugby, you'll see some clear differences. When you look at the Gallagher Premiership compared to the URC, there are clear differences. Are the Blue Australian? No, the Blues are from Auckland, the New Zealand side. And great work over the ball from Will Tucker to win the penalty turnover for his side. In fact, it might have been Berry there. I know some of you Satyrs supporters love the Satyrs, but please, Satyrs gone. They're at the bottom of the ocean, says Spider Mick. Lachlan McWannell, he failed his HIE. He looks very smiley on the sidelines. He probably doesn't realise what day it is. He probably thinks he's got a ticket to the rugby, and it's just watching the game. What time's kick-off for the Ferns tomorrow? I believe it's at 4 p.m. Are you doing Champions Cup final? We are, yes. Now rolling forward again here, just a little bit further for the Blues. Only 2 minutes remaining. Heard it Sam Kane's last season for the ABs. You are correct. Now out the back line, here comes Caleb Clark again. Great acceleration and brilliant pass to keep that ball alive, but Forbes taps it down. Another handling error. Championship rugby, as compared to Super Rugby. You're talking about like the URC, I assume, the United Rugby Championship, or Rugby Championship. Are you talking about? I think you got the letters in the wrong order. Or are you talking Champions Cup? See, it's very confusing because they all involve champions and whatnot in them, in the name. Yes, URC. I disagree. I feel like depending on what you like to watch in a game of rugby, depends on what competition you like better. I don't think that the URC is at all bad rugby. I think it's some pretty awesome rugby. We're covering 3 games of it tonight. Going to be doing pretty much an all-nighter because the games are always pretty handy. I like to see the South African teams back in the comp. South Africa were a bit of a northern and southern style, which preferred New Zealand pre-World Cup, says James. And Blues are going to win, says Zulfika. Well, if they didn't from here with 30 seconds left, you know something's really gone wrong. URC is boring. Well, it depends on what game. What game are you basing that off? And don't say all of them, because I don't think even an idiot would say every game of the URC is boring. But I'll be surprised, because you might say all of them. And now ball on the outside. Nice running from AJ Lamb, stepping through there. Did you see the Munster match yesterday? I didn't get a chance to watch it yet. I'm hoping to watch the highlights probably after this game, before I do the next 3 games of the URC. Alpha Funaki going back across there, grubbing him behind, and that's going to be out to Caleb Clark. Pinning the ears back on the outside. He finishes it again. But they'll go back, because there was a knock-on initially, but almost a finish and a half from Caleb Clark, and I think maybe Caleb Tangita was the one to put that ball down, but that'll be the end of the contest, ladies and gentlemen. 47 points to 13. Not every game, I'm not conscious 99% of them. Well, no, you're just making it up, aren't you? 2 really good games last night in the URC, says Flexion. There's also the other side of things. If you don't actually know who's playing in terms of the players, it's probably not as entertaining to watch the competition. Because if your first instinct of watching a new competition is, this is boring, then more than likely you just haven't taken the time to actually put in the effort to know who's in the competition. Because, you know, you get to see matchups that we saw in the Rugby World Cup taking place. We got to see, you know, like even this weekend, we're getting to see a Benetton side which struggled in the game up against the Sharks, but they got the job done. Now they're going to get deep with the Bulls. That game, I think, will be a very good one. It's on at 11:50, so 3 hours' time for that one to take place. Glasgow versus the Lions. That is a do-or-die game for this Lions side. A lot of young talent at the moment coming up through the ranks, whether that's Tishuka, whether that's Hendricksa, whether you're looking at that forward pack as well. Horn in there. Looking very handy. And good commentary, Hamish. So you're not far away. Says Spider-Man, who you're picking to win the comp. Says James. I am honestly thinking a New Zealand side. I think it's going to be Chiefs, Blues, or Hurricanes, but that's still pretty vague, isn't it? Cheers to the commentary, Hamish. Brilliant stuff. And I just hope it's not like last year's final that Sam Cane decides to retire from Test Rugby. Says Morne Lagrange. But end score on this contest, 47 Points to 13. What URC match are you doing today? We are doing the Bulls versus Benetons, Glasgow versus Lions, and then also Stormers versus Connacht, which will be an intriguing one as it is away from home for Stormers, going up against a Connacht side who are trying to push their way up that little bit further on the overall rankings. And the Stormers are starting to get a little bit close to that 8th spot, so they've got to make sure they get some big wins under their belt very soon. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all for